question number 3 comes from Hero and Harvey.
On Instagram.
On Instagram, yep. Hero and Harvey says, what are your thoughts on medicating dogs? When do you decide that medicating is a necessary step in helping a dog? What behaviors, indicators are indicative of the dog needing medication? And if they do, is it necessary to work with a vet behaviorist, or is it okay to just work with a regular vet who feels comfortable prescribing behavior modifiers? Or do you feel medicating is not necessary?
We prefer to medicate every dog.
Just and every dog that comes in.
I think our success rate really shows that medicating every dog really pays off.
It works.
No. They come out less edgy, more compliant, and the duration work?
It's real good.
Spot on. Anyways, no, just teasing. Okay, so Hero and Harvey, thoughts on medication. So we always prefer to do, like if dogs are coming in here and they're on medication, we always wean them off. We always recommend that clients go with training and behavior modification first and foremost. Like so many vets, and I don't want to get into the behaviors thing because it's
dicey.
It's that thing. But so
There's
many.
a lot of like throwing meds just at problems.
Yes, and so I'm a big opponent to just throwing meds at dogs and like, let's see if this will stop bad behavior. You don't stop bad behaviors through meds, but you can take an edge off of dogs, and we'll get into that a little bit more. So the first and foremost thing, priority, what we're shooting for is get them off the meds if they're on it. If they're not on it, great. Let's do the training first, and let's see how far we can get these dogs. I'd say 80 to 90% of dogs that we work with that have got like kind of anxiety issues and things like that don't need the meds. They come through, they're looking awesome. The training, the behavior mod, all the psychological stuff helps put them in a really healthy gear, and then they don't even need it because they've finally learned how to self-regulate, they've learned how to relax, they've learned impulse control. All of the things that people were thinking the medication was needed to fix was just never trained, they were never conditioned, they were never patterned how to do that stuff. So if you know how to do that stuff right, and you know how to also create inhibitions against poor choices, because meds won't teach a dog like don't bite, like out when you pick something up, or stop being reactive on leash, all this different stuff. Training is gonna sort that stuff out. Now that said, if you go to a really reputable trainer who knows his stuff or her stuff and does really great work, and 3 weeks later or 2 weeks later, whatever it is, the dog is knowledgeable, understands the commands, has taken everything on board, but is struggling terribly with anxiety, is got a ton of noise, or has got a ton of noise, has a ton of noise in their heads. You can tell they're uncomfortable in their own skin, right? They're trying to make decisions, but you can tell they're struggling with the decisions.
Even with all the training in the
world. They're struggling to hold themselves on place. They're nervous, they're worried, they're concerned, or they're just like mega fearful and freaked out. And even with the training, like having combated a lot of that, they're in a much better gear. But like for us, it's like if we can get them here, and that's great, but they're still struggling a little bit, a little uncomfortable, and we can get them maybe to here even through medication, then we're totally down for that. But we're not like pill pushers. We're definitely like, that's our last kind of frontier for this stuff. So my opinion, or our opinion on this, is like, let's train the dog first, because you could be shocked at what you can get. So many dogs that have come in on medication for obsessive compulsive stuff, it's
a reactivity or separation anxiety.
You'd be blown away by how many dogs, especially in the obsessive stuff, because it seems so medication oriented, like doing the training, and especially the way we do a lot of calming exercises and duration work and impulse control, and then seeing these dogs with OCD behaviors just like boom, fade away with no medication, is fairly astounding. So go training first, see what you get, and then if you've still got a really uncomfortable dog, or a dog that's edgy and struggling to enjoy a high quality of life, then try going with some different meds. And meds are hit and miss with dogs. You can try one and get nothing. You can try another, you might get something. You can try both and get nothing, or you can try one and see like amazing results. What we've seen is a lot of hit and miss.
You gotta try it out just like humans have to do.
Exactly, and that's really what I was going to say, was that like even with like highly trained psychiatrists, they've got, you know, a plethora of meds that they can help you with, but like a lot of it is like, try this, try that. And so there's never a surefire kind of like, this is the perfect fit for your dog.
Right.
A lot of times you have to do trial and error to try and find your way.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
I'm
or
just going to go back to the reason, you know, we wean dogs off meds. Again, we're not like anti-meds at all, but it's just good because we don't get, with dogs on meds, whether they should be on them or not, we're not getting normal responses.
Accurate reads.
Yeah, accurate reads of behavior, of state of mind, of where the dog's at. What we've seen when we haven't had them, the reason why we changed that years ago, the reason, you know, to change it to have them wean off before they come in, even if we're going to tell the owner that they probably should be back on, we want to see kind of clean slate, and that's the reason why we
what
do
the
it.
real dog is.
Yeah, we're not just like, oh, they're just like, you know, get the dog off meds because it's not working. We're just like, okay, we want to see like what the dog is fundamentally. And interestingly enough, like in the last 2 months, we haven't had I would say in probably a year or so, we haven't suggested a dog get back on the meds that they were on. But in the last few months, we've had 2 or 3 dogs that we've suggested to go back on it.
Yeah.
And maybe in a lower dose, and maybe trying something lower to kind of like count, you know, be partners with the training. But those dogs were very like, they had an edge. They were great. They did great with the training. We were able to get through it, but there was that little, you could just tell they're uncomfortable in their own skin, and getting them back on the meds really kind of took that edge off.
Right. Awesome. And then the last little point of that was the question of, should we just do this with a vet or a vet behaviorist? I've got a lot of, or we've got issues, maybe I should just speak for myself, with a lot of vet behaviorists that don't...
What we've seen, and I'm sure there's great ones, but man, have we not seen good ones.
I'm waiting. So with vet behaviorists, what we tend to see are people that don't typically work hands-on with dogs in any kind of real capacity training-wise. There might be exceptions, but for the most part, they don't actually work hands-on training with the dogs. They do dispense a lot of medication. They do dispense a lot of management. They do dispense a lot of like, this dog doesn't belong in your home, and they dispense a lot of what she just said. So I would stay away from the vet behaviorists because they just haven't proven themselves to be working at what I believe is I don't even want to say a high moral level, but a high ethics level. I feel like
it's just a weird thing. Like, if someone has a counterpoint to this, I would love to hear it, because there's no part of us that are like vet behaviorist haters. We're just like, what we've seen are people walk through our doors. Yeah, I paid a vet behaviorist $350 for 45 minutes. They didn't even touch my dog. I don't even know if the dog sometimes didn't even come in the room, and they told me that the dog either should be put down or should be on a lot of medications. So or they'll use stuffed animal dogs and things like that, to like, let's say, oh yeah, he's a dog aggressive because he's like going after a stuffed animal and things like that. So really silly stuff. We've had, you know, people that have put their dogs on meds, they just go to their regular vet, and most vets are down to prescribe meds. Yeah, and the reality is that you'll save a lot of money by going straight to the vet, but you'll also, like, I honestly believe the process is a lot the same. You're going to go to the vet and you're going to try something, and if that doesn't work, let's up the dose. Okay, that didn't work. Let's try something else and try this dose, this dose, this dose. It's very just kind of logical, hit and miss. There's no perfect way to get dosages for like psychotropics or anything like that for dogs or people. So that's the best answer for that, and hope that helps. And like Laura said, we're not trying to take shots, and our gig isn't about diminishing anyone, but our gig is about trying to tell the truth as we know it, and the truth that we've seen has not been positive as far as vet behaviorists. And not from our personal experience, but from lots of clients' experience. From our comprehensive experience. So if you're out there and you're an awesome vet behaviorist,
our apologies.
And let us know
yeah.
how that works. Yep.
But don't be nasty about it. Okay,
Thanks,
anyways,
guys.
next.